What's going on, everybody? Khalifa's Tech here, coming back at you with another video. In this video, I'm going to be showing you some tips and tricks for the Samsung Galaxy S21 FE that you might not know about. Now, before we go any further, as always, I do want to remind you to go ahead and hit that subscribe button. It helps out the channel a lot. And if you want to learn more about this phone, be sure to check out my full review of it as well. But with that being said, let's get started. So the first thing I want to show you is a feature called Eye Comfort Shield. Now, if you're like me, you might like to keep your phone at 100% brightness all the time. I know the adaptive brightness feature can be really cool, but personally, since I'm able to plug in my phone pretty much all the time, I would just rather have the display bright enough to see perfectly fine at all times. But besides battery consumption, one drawback with having your display really bright at all times is the blue light, especially later in the day, because it can be a little hard on your eyes. So the solution to this is using a feature called Eye Comfort Shield that gets rid of some of that blue light so you can still have your display really bright, but it won't be as hard on your eyes. So to get to this feature, we're going to go to Settings. From here, go to Display. And Eye Comfort Shield is right here. Now, as you can see, by default, it is set to adaptive, but you can actually customize it as well. So as you can see here, if you want to customize it, switch to Custom. And now you can make it either warmer or cooler. The next thing I'm going to show you is what we can do with the power key. Now, by default, if you double tap the power key, it's going to open the camera. This is definitely real convenient, and even when your display is locked, you can still do this. So if you want to capture something really quickly in the moment, it's definitely a nice feature to have, but there are also a couple other things we can do with the power key. Now, to get to these options, we're of course going to go back to the settings. From here, go down to Advanced, and now go to Side Key. So as you can see, by default, when you double press the power key, it's going to open the camera. But you can also have it open an app, and you can have it open pretty much any app you want. So maybe you want it to open Snapchat. Now when we double press the power key, instead of the camera, it's going to open Snapchat instead. The other thing we can change here is the press and hold option. By default, when you press and hold the power key, it's going to open Bixby, which I personally never use this feature. If I really want to use one of those assistant things, I'm just going to use the Google Assistant anyway. So for me, Bixby is completely useless. If you use Bixby, then this might be a cool feature, but I'm personally never going to do that. And if you're in this situation, you can always have it open the power menu instead. So now when we press and hold the power key, it's going to open the power menu. Now, say you actually do use Bixby and you want the power key to stay as it is. You might be wondering in this situation, how do you actually turn the phone off? Well, it is pretty simple. All you need to do is pull down the shade like this, tap on this power icon, and it's going to open up the power menu. So either way, whether you want the power key to do it or if you want to do it from the quick menu, turning off the phone is still pretty simple. The next thing I'm going to show you is how you can hide an app. Now, by hide apps, I mean not only from your home screen, but also the app drawer itself. Maybe you have apps that you use really infrequently, or maybe just something that you can't delete, and you want to clean up your app drawer so it's a little less cluttery. Well, in this situation, hiding an app is going to be the answer for you. So to do this, you're going to press and hold a finger on the home screen like this. Go to the settings right here. From here, go down to where it says Hide Apps. And now, as you can see, there's a bunch of different apps that are eligible to be hidden. So for example, I'm going to hide the internet because I never use this. I use Google Chrome. So for me, there's really no point in having Samsung Internet in my app drawer at all. When you're done, of course, hit Done. And now if I go back to the app drawer, the internet app is nowhere to be found. Now, if you hide an app and you want to unhide it, you're going to do the same thing. So press and hold on the home screen, Settings. From here, go to Hide Apps. And all the apps you've hidden are going to be up here on the top. So to unhide, just tap on the app. And now it's going to go back to normal. So if I hit Done, go back to the app drawer, the internet app is going to be here once again. Now I'm going to show you some color settings for the display. To get to these, you're going to go to Settings, which by the way, there are several different ways to get to this. First of all, throughout this video, you've probably seen me just hit the Settings app, which by the way, it doesn't start on the home screen. When you first get the phone, it's going to be somewhere in your app drawer. So for me, it's right here. And in case you're wondering to get it onto your home screen, press and hold like this, and now you can drag it onto your home screen. And besides the Settings app, the other way you can get to it is by swiping down and pressing the little gear icon right here. But anyway, back to the display color settings. From here, you're going to want to go to Display. From the main display menu, go to Screen Mode. So as you can see, by default, it's going to be set to vivid, and this is basically going to enhance the colors and make them look a little bit brighter and bolder. I personally really like this setting. When you're viewing photos, watching videos, pretty much anything on this phone, it's all going to look really good. But if you want, you can also change it to natural, which is going to make the colors look a little bit more normal. Another thing you can do when you're in vivid mode is change the white balance so you can make it a little warmer, or you can make it a little cooler. And if you go to advanced settings, you can customize the white balance even more. Now, while we're in the display menu, the next thing I'm going to show you is how to change your screen timeout time. This can definitely be a real useful thing to do if you're reading a lot or maybe streaming videos, pretty much any kind of content consumption, because by default, the screen timeout time is really short, so the screen's going to fall asleep on you pretty often. But changing the screen timeout time to a longer time can definitely help with this. So from the main display menu, you're going to go to screen timeout, which is towards the middle. So right here. And as you can see, I have mine set to 10 minutes, which is the longest setting. Unfortunately, that's as long as it can go. I do wish it could go to 30 minutes because in certain situations that is really useful. But with this phone, 10 is the longest, and you can also have it as short as 15 seconds. Now the right setting is really going to depend on how you use your phone. If you don't do a lot of content consumption, then of course, something like a minute is probably going to be fine. I feel like 15 seconds is short for anyone, but if you really want it to be like that, maybe you forget to lock your phone a lot, then I could see how it could be useful to have a really short screen timeout time. But definitely when it comes to screen timeout time, it is going to be slightly different for everyone, so definitely play around with it a little and see which setting works best for you. Now, like I said before, it is a little too bad you can't extend your screen timeout time to longer than 10 minutes, because if you're doing stuff on your phone like reading, viewing photos, playing games, watching videos, and just general types of content consumption like that, you might be looking at your phone for longer than 10 minutes without touching it, and then the screen might just fall asleep on you. But luckily, even though we unfortunately can't extend the screen timeout time itself, we can actually prevent the phone from falling asleep while you're looking at it. This feature is called attentive display. Basically what it's going to do is use the front-facing camera to detect your face, and as long as it sees that you're looking at the phone, the screen's not going to go off. So to activate this feature, we're going to go to settings. From here, go to Advanced Features. From here, go to Motions and Gestures. And where it says Keep Screen On While Viewing, toggle this on. And now with this feature on, as long as you're looking at the phone, the front-facing camera is going to detect your face and it won't fall asleep on you. Now it's kind of hard to demonstrate this feature in action, but I can tell you from experience, I have used this feature quite a bit and it does work. Now, while we're in the gesture menu, another feature I want to touch on is called palm swipe to capture. This is basically a quick way to take a screenshot, and while the motion itself might take a little getting used to, once you get the hang of it, it is actually real nice and convenient. Now, you probably know that the way to take a screenshot on this phone normally is by pressing the power key and the volume down key at the same time. But with palm swipe to capture, which is on by default by the way, all you need to do to take a screenshot is go like this. As you can see, the feature does take a little getting used to because the motion is a little weird and it can kind of trigger other things on the screen. But basically, once you go like this, it's going to take a screenshot. Now, I personally don't like this method nearly as much as the 3-finger screenshot feature that other phones have, but all the same, it is still nice to have 2 ways to take a screenshot with this phone. The next thing I'm going to show you is how to create a screen recording. Just like a screenshot, this is a real easy thing to do. All you need to do is pull down your quick menu by swiping down twice. And you're going to want to tap on Screen Recorder on the bottom right. This little menu is going to show up, so select whether you want no sound, media sounds, or media sounds and mic. You can also have it show taps and touches. And then once you have everything configured the way you want, go ahead and hit Start Recording. There's going to be a countdown, of course. You can also skip the countdown if you want. And now, as you can see, it is recording. You can do a couple things on here, like drawing. This little icon right here is going to turn on the front-facing camera. So there's me right there. And once you're done, you can hit stop and it's going to be saved right to your photos. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is how to use NFC. In case you don't know what it is, NFC is the technology behind contactless mobile payment services like Google Pay. And this phone, being the high-end phone it is, does have that feature. So if you want to use NFC, I'm going to show you exactly how. Now some phones actually have the notification that NFC is on up here somewhere, but this phone doesn't have anything like that, so it's really simple. All you need to do is go to Settings. From here, go to Connections, and NFC and contactless payments. By default, it's going to be on. And if you want to use NFC, you don't really have to do anything here. If you want to turn it off, you always can. But unless you don't even have Google Pay at all, I don't really see a benefit of turning it off because it doesn't really affect the battery all that much. You can also customize some settings here. So as you can see, again, by default, it is on. And if you ever need to make a mobile contactless payment, simply place the back of the phone on an NFC reader. In my experience, this phone does it really well and it's super easy. You basically have to put the back of the phone like right here on the card reader itself. It's really straightforward, and even if you've never used the feature before, you're probably not going to have too much trouble. Now if you go here to contactless payments, as you can see, by default, it's going to be using Google Pay. But if you have Samsung Pay or something like that, you can hit Pay with Currently Open App, and that's going to allow you to use other payment services as well. Now the last thing I'm going to show you is how to show and hide the battery percentage on the status bar. As you can see, it is showing right now, and it does show by default, but if you want the status bar to be a little bit more minimalistic, I mean, you can't get much more minimalistic than this, but still, if you don't want the battery percentage to be there for whatever reason, all you need to do is go to the settings. From here, go down to battery and device care. And from here, go to battery, go to more battery settings. And as you can see right here, where it says show battery percentage, toggle this off. And now, of course, the battery percentage is not going to show up there. And if you want it to look like this, but you still want to see your percentage from time to time, all you really need to do is open your notification center like this, and it's going to be right there no matter what. But those were my tips, tricks, and cool features for the Samsung Galaxy S21 FE. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you found this information useful as well. Once again, if you want to learn more about this phone, be sure to check out my full review of it on the channel. But I hope you found this video useful and informative. If you did, give it a thumbs up and hit that subscribe button. But as always, I will see you in the next video.